Let's go! Urban Meyer, are you kidding me? Potentially the next head coach at LSU? A lot of you want it. You watched the live stream last night, and it got taken over by Urban Meyer questions. And look, I love discussing anything related to LSU football, but I feel as if I need to do a video right now to really put this to bed. Because, look, first thing, we don't know what exactly is even going to happen to Ed Orgeron. Maybe he miraculously salvages his job, but that is highly unlikely, okay? So who's going to be the next head coach at LSU? And obviously, Urban Meyer is probably the most attractive name when it comes to beating Nick Saban and being one of the best college football coaches of all time. And if you look at the modern era, Urban Meyer probably is that number 2 coach only behind Saban. Urban Meyer is right now dealing with a pretty vicious scandal going on right now with the Jacksonville Jaguars. And that's just one of the many reasons you want to stay away. Now, I'm going to give you a few names to look out for a little bit later in the video, but let's go on ahead and just X Urban Meyer off the list. So the first thing is obviously this Jacksonville Jaguar situation is a mess. And before we talk about the actual scandal in and of itself that's going on right now, you're looking at a long list of crazy things that Urban Meyer has done since taking over the Jacksonville Jaguars. And all of these are really, really, really bad, okay? Taking a first-round NFL running back and then hiring a problematic strength coach and then bringing on Tim Tebow, who was awful. Those are just 3 things, obviously not in importance of seriousness, but yeah, this is not good. And this locker room is just out on Urban Meyer, saying that they are laughing at him. And look, what he did this past weekend was pretty freaking wild. And for those that don't know, Urban Meyer, after losing a backbreaker to the Cincinnati Bengals to go to 0-4, decided to not fly back with the team just for him to get caught in his own restaurant, putting his hands in some places that you probably shouldn't put your hands, and of course, getting a little frisky as a married man. So, Amy Trask said that she has never seen that in her 30 years of working in the NFL, a losing coach not flying back home with the team. Look, there's some work that needs to be done at LSU. You need to be fully focused on the task at hand. And let's be honest, Urban's history when it comes to very serious, nefarious stuff is not that great, okay? I think most of you are familiar with what happened with his assistant, Zach Smith. I won't go too deep into it, but once again, it is very troubling stuff of a potential cover-up. And, of course, as many of you know, LSU is currently embroiled in a situation with that as well. So I don't know about you. I understand that, once again, I am not a high horse morality type of guy, but you do have to draw the line somewhere, right? This is just layers upon layers upon layers of just bad. And this would be, let's just say Urban Meyer gets fired by the Jacksonville Jaguars. This would be the 3rd time in Urban's career he's kind of, sort of just quit. Left Florida, left Ohio State. Ohio State wasn't as bad as Florida, but this Jacksonville situation is an absolute mess. And on top of that, Urban Meyer is a millionaire, not only as a coach, but as a speaker. He's very involved in many different things. I just don't see a scenario where he would be so hungry to come to LSU and win. And that's the thing. You kind of have to do that now in the SEC, knowing how good this conference is. It's not just Alabama. There's a bunch of young, hungry, and talented coaches out there. So you need someone that wants to come in and win something. And it kind of goes back to the Bo Pelini thing, where when they hired Bo Pelini, he had already been a millionaire coach. He already had millions upon millions of dollars. He had a great job where he was with the defensive coordinator that was his brother at Youngstown. And he came back to LSU with no real hunger to prove anything. So when you hire Urban Meyer, let's just say he is hired at LSU, he's got nothing to prove. The only thing that winning at LSU would do for Urban Meyer is just further cement his legacy. And if he wanted to chase Saban as the quote-unquote greatest head coach of all time, the only way you could really do that is by winning a national championship at LSU. But that would be the only thing he would gain. There is nothing, and I mean nothing, for him to gain. No money, no fame, nothing. Whereas with pretty much every head coach candidate you can think of out there, there's a lot to gain for them. And by the way, if Urban Meyer really wanted the mantle of the greatest coach of all time, well, he would have given it his all with the Jacksonville Jaguars, because if he would have, at the very least, won in Jacksonville, he would further cement his legacy as potentially the greatest coach at any level, because we know how many college coaches failed miserably in the NFL. So, if legacy was really something he wanted to chase, he would take this current job more seriously. But that's the thing. Urban Meyer doesn't need LSU, and honestly, we quite frankly don't need him. So I'm sorry. I would be the first to admit that Urban Meyer even has a case now as the greatest modern coach in college football history. He's no doubt no lower than 3. He's probably pretty much cemented himself at number 2, and there's just nothing for him to gain by coming to LSU and winning big. Nothing, especially in his current state. So by far, the number one name that I've gotten from you guys has been Urban Meyer. Put it this way. If Urban Meyer came to LSU fully focused and ready for the task at hand, he would win big. He would absolutely win a national championship at LSU. No question in my mind. At his peak, he is as good, if not better, than Saban. Just look at their career head-to-head. And he's won at the two of the highest levels you possibly can at the college football level, in the SEC and at Ohio State. So, yeah, if Urban Meyer was prime Urban Meyer, he would win very, very, very big at LSU. But that's the thing. This is not prime Urban Meyer. So move on from it. It's not a great idea. I don't feel comfortable handing him the keys to one of the most powerful institutions in all of college football. Alrighty, so you reached the point of the video where you probably want me to go through a few potential names. So first thing, I want Ed Orgeron to turn this around. I really would like a miracle comeback so we don't have to go through another coaching search, but that is highly unlikely to happen at this point. And coaching search videos from a media perspective can get old. But I do want to address this because, once again, as you guys saw, my inbox is just filled with comments about Urban Meyer to LSU. And I understand he is the absolute sexiest name out there. And look, it's very interesting because we do owe a bit of gratitude to Urban Meyer for partly developing Joe Burrow into the quarterback that he is today. Now, most of that is Joe Brady and Joe just doing it on his own, but still, Urban Meyer has a magical touch with the national championship winning quarterbacks. There's no doubt about that, and there's obviously a lot of allure with Urban Meyer. Now, before we discuss any of these other names, I do want to show some love to all our viewers. I just want to show gratitude to you and your super chats, your donations. Once again, I'm an independent channel. The only way I survive is with you guys viewing the videos. Now, on the live stream, we discussed a lot of the names that you'll see here, but you guys hear me talk about Ross Dellinger all the time. He's one of the best college football writers on the planet, and he shared these names with the Colada Show. So let's go through a few of these. Now, Jimbo Fisher, I think a lot of you would agree. I'm not on fire about the buyout. Would be absolutely insane, and the contracts and all of that. So I would stay away from that. Obviously, Urban Meyer here. Let's go to these next two names, Bob Stoops and Chris Peterson. So Bob Stoops, arguably the third best coach of the modern era, behind Urban and Saban, and probably behind Dabo now. But Bob Stoops is big time. I just don't see him coaching at a non-Oklahoma school. He's got a cozy TV job, and I'm sure he's enjoying it. Chris Peterson is one of the more likely legend candidates. Obviously, Chris Peterson was a guy that was hired at Washington by Scott Woodward, and I was discussing this last night with one of our viewers, Mo Funky, and look, Chris Peterson would be a big-time hire. He's obviously talented enough to get to a college football playoff. Heck, he did it at Washington. So I can see that potentially happening. This next group of names is very interesting. Luke Fickell, James Franklin, Lane Kiffin. Fickell's going to be tough to obviously interview because he's very focused on doing something quite legendary, getting Cincinnati to the playoff. But obviously of those three names, I would say Lane Kiffin, and I would agree with how a lot of you feel. I would probably be the most excited about Lane Kiffin out of those three. And then to the next level, Billy O'Brien, Billy Napier, and Matt Campbell. All three would be fine hires. Not as high on Bill O'Brien as I am the other two names listed here. But still, all three of those would be fine hires. Now, I want to touch on this. These are two names that I got a lot on last night's live stream. Eric Bieniemy and Joe Brady. So, no for this reason. They're in the NFL, and they're already getting head coaching interviews at the NFL level. Both of them will be an NFL head coach in the next 5 years, if not the next year. I would say more than likely in the next 2 years. Those guys aren't going to come back to the college level if they're that close to getting an NFL job. Now, of course, LSU would be very tempting considering how big of a job that is. I just don't see either one of them doing that. So, once again, I don't want to get too much into speculation because I do like to focus on the now, and I do like to focus on the Kentucky game this upcoming weekend because I feel like we owe it to the players of the team. But I wanted to do one of these coaching videos because it is the number one topic on your mind. So, look, comment down below. Obviously, the focus was on Urban Meyer. Is he your number one candidate? And if he's not, let me know who your number one candidate would be. Now, I think we can all agree we want Ed Orgeron to win. I don't think anybody that watches this channel just personally hates Ed Orgeron. But things are not trending in the right direction, and I would be highly shocked if he is the coach of LSU next season. Hope you enjoyed this video today. Once again, live streams, halftime, and after the Kentucky game. Hopefully it's a win. I can't believe we're 3.5-point underdogs. How about that? It is Power Hour LSU. Bam! Oh, we're doing chicken wings tonight. Let's go.